Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and/or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only. Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hello, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. Welcome to the show. Sorry if our dog is being loud tonight. It's good to be back. It's wonderful to see you all. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. If you are tuning in for the second, third, fourth, or fifth time and are a regular viewer, welcome back. We've been having a wonderful time meeting all of our authors, and tonight we have two more wonderful authors for you to meet.
Yeah, and speaking of wonderful authors, next week, while we're thinking about it here, we have our UK author night again. And we have from across the pond there, we have UK author Jan Domagala, who's a science fiction and a thriller author, and also action adventure thriller author Thomas Iyer. They're going to be on next week for UK author night. So without further ado, it's our pleasure to introduce award-winning author, Dr. Carol SOLOWAY.
Hello, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi.
Hello, George, Paul. Let's see, Patricia, glad to see you. Oh, Genevieve, hello.
Hello, hello.
Genevieve's right there. Hi. Glad to see you all. How are you doing, Carol?
Excellent. And you?
We're also doing excellent. Would you like to tell the viewers and the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. By day, I'm a qualified medical examiner, which means no dead people. I examine patients and determine what their disability is. But forget that. I am a novelist, and I've written Sex Happens and Gracie's Gone, as well as a children's book, The Surprise Circus.
That's awesome. And as we all know, sex does indeed happen.
It's just a book, right?
Right. And I love the cover, by the way. I always have. That's a really good cover.
Speaking of award-winning, that was an award winner.
Yes. And an Amazon award winner.
Here's Gracie's Gone. That's another one. That's an award winner too.
Mm-hmm.
That was a reader's choice also.
Yep.
Okay.
Gracie's.
And The Surprise Circus.
Yep.
And that was, go ahead. That was written with Aria, right?
With my granddaughter, my then 5-year-old granddaughter. She's now 7, so she's much more mature. And we wrote the book together, and we're working on a sequel.
Oh, that's great. Hello, Caleb. We're so glad to have you here. All right. Oh, well, we've got quite a few more hellos here. Hello, Trish.
Patricia.
Hello, Sue.
Wow.
And ask if anyone has any questions for Carol, please feel free to ask.
Right.
You know, I'm sure she'd love to hear what you have to say and answer any questions that you have. So you want to tell us about your book, Sex Happens?
You picked that one first. Sure.
Of course I did.
Well, that was the first one,
that's
right?
One, yeah, right.
Yes, because only because
giving away.
in the chronology, it is the first book. Yes, you are correct.
That is why I picked it. We'll go with that.
It is about a woman who loses custody of her children.
Oh.
It's really about marriage, motherhood, and actually the other side of marriage, where dreams implode and no one is who he seems.
That sounds really good.
Sounds real.
It is. And that one is the woman goes through the divorce, but not only the divorce, which I hate to say this, but is commonplace almost. But she also loses custody of her children, which is, you know, such a horrific and there's all kinds of twists and turns. You know, like her life is even in danger in their custody battle. And I did a lot of research. I sat in the juvenile, watched all of the proceedings in court, and it really does make you think, you know, who am I if I'm not a wife? Who am I if I'm not a mother? And what will I do for this? And there's sex.
And Trish says this is a story she knows well. And so this could be triggering for some people. So, you know, this is a safe place. I'll talk about that now since this has come up. We're a designated safe place. Everybody's safe here to share on any of the shows that we broadcast here on WLFE DB. Blaze says hello. Hello, Blaze, and hello, Jan.
Hi, Jan.
Glad to see you here, Jan.
You said something about a safe place. I do a lot of book clubs. In other words, I go to book clubs, they read my book, and I talk. And at one book club that was together for 20 years, the women who knew each other did not know some of the secrets in their lives. Like one had given up her child at birth. And so this book has brought out that kind of sharing.
See, this is what Trish Pipkin says. She said, it's such an important topic. I'm so glad people are writing about it. As I am also, because like you said, there were secrets for 20 years because shame is attached to it.
Absolutely.
For the woman, and there shouldn't be, you know, and that's excellent. Jen says, thanks. She's happy to be here. We're really happy to have you here. It's, I'm glad that you've written that book, yes, and that it can start conversations, especially in a book club. That's amazing.
Needs to be out in the light.
Yep. And I'm sure they were closer after that, all of them.
It was amazing that in 20 years they hadn't had this. There's also an interracial relationship. That's the main relationships of the main character, the main relationship of the main character. But and that also is fuel, especially today, for conversation.
Oh, I'll say.
Gracie's Gone has always fascinated me. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but can you tell us a little bit about that one? I love the cover on it.
Oh, that cover is one of our grandchildren, and we're going to reprint it because supposedly a cover with one child is not as marketable as a cover with a family. So we're going to, but Gracie's Gone. First, let me ask you, have you ever, and I'm sure you have, been in a supermarket or a store and you turn around and your child is gone?
Yep.
Okay, well, that horror, that terror, this book takes you into the home and the heart of a family whose child is abducted. The beautiful 6-year-old Gracie is abducted. You won't be able to figure out who. Spoiler alert, and I did this for a reason. Nothing physical happens to her.
That's good.
Good.
So important to me. I've read Lovely Bones. That was amazing, but nothing happens to her. And you will not believe who took her and why. And it really, but the real point of the story is what a family goes through, which I don't think is, we're so busy with who done it and what's going, you don't sit in the family's house. And that's what I wanted to do here.
Yeah. Caleb says, if it wasn't for deep, dark secrets, there would be nothing to write about.
And there would be no secrets. No.
That's true.
Well, we're bringing them all to the light, and I think that's really good. Yeah, I mean, I think that's happened to most parents where your child, you're standing there with your child beside you, and they get distracted because they're kind of like penguins. If it's sparkly, they go that way. And you can't find them for maybe 2 minutes, and your heart is in your mouth. But to not find them at all for a long time, I don't even
unimaginable.
know.
And that's what I wanted the reader to feel.
Oh, wow. Did you see what Linda wrote here?
Linda
Yeah.
Birtle says, that's good. Her story reminds me of the couple who bought our house and their daughter was picked up from their front yard, found later at the county courthouse, safe and unharmed.
Wow. I just...
Can you imagine the terror during that time? No.
You write about deep subjects for sure.
Yeah.
But important.
That's why I've turned to children's books.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of children's books, your other one is Surprise, right? Surprise Circus. Can you tell us about that one?
Sure. I don't know how many of you know Les Brown, the motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, he wrote the foreword, and he's in the book, as is his grandson. And it came from us talking about motivating children. And also, I'm sure you know this quote, and I gave it to him, and he said, "Can you use it?" I said, "Sure." How sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child.
Yeah. It's an old proverb.
King Lear. So anyway, what we decided was I wrote this book and he wrote the foreword because and the message is, if you believe in yourself and you work really hard, anything can happen, even a surprise circus. And the little girl writes to the ringmaster and says, no circus came. And every week he sends her another character. He sends her the juggler who juggles her baby sister, the fire eater who burns down the curtains, and so she keeps putting them in the backyard, and the clowns who throw her mother's fresh baked pies at each other. And then she decides, or they encourage her, to be the ringmaster of her own circus.
That's excellent.
And she does that with Les Brown's grandson, Honor, and they both are co-ringmasters.
Cool.
So that was a lot of fun. And I wrote it with my granddaughter, coming from a question, did you ever go to a circus?
Interesting. Sometimes I feel like I'm a ringmaster of a circus.
Wait a minute. Just me?
No, we have 6 children and 6 children-in-law and 14 grandchildren. So
had me worried for a moment.
We only have 12, so I don't know anything. And one of my granddaughters told me that her father calls me the Queen of Chaos.
Oh no!
And I honor it. Hey, I'm working full-time, writing books, playing tennis. Yep.
Medical examiner. Then speaking about being a novelist, how did you get into writing? Have you always written, or is it something you took up later? Or
The weird thing is I was an English teacher. I do have a master's in English, and I never wrote then, but once I had a pretty upsetting relationship and no one wanted to hear me complain about it, I started writing. And I even got into Squaw Valley, where Amy Tan teaches, and Mark Childress. And I started writing, but never gave up my day job, which is very, very boring medical legal reporting. But I realized that my real calling is being a children's book author. Because I used to write when I was 10. I wrote books, Andy, Pandy, Sandy, wonderful magical titles. And so I wrote this summer 6 books with my 11-year-old grandson.
Awesome. And we'll be seeing them soon?
What?
We'll be seeing them soon? Will they be coming out soon? Awesome. We have something to look forward to.
Speaking of looking forward to something, I think there's people out there that were wanting to hear about the book giveaway tonight.
And also how to reach.
And how to reach you.
How to reach Carol.
So let's see. Let's get the how to reach out of the way first.
Okay.
Let's keep them.
Not out of the way. We'll inform people how to reach Carol.
All righty. We could do this. All right. On Facebook, it's Facebook, of course.com, at carol.soloway.
Okay. On Twitter, at Dr. Carol Soloway 1.
I didn't think there was a period between Carol and Soloway on Facebook. My era, because when you showed it to me, I didn't see the period.
Oh, okay.
There is a period or there is not?
I don't think there is. No,
okay.
Just Carol Soloway.
All right.
All right. Well, then
take that period out of there, guys.
Imagine if you will, like a circus here.
Carol
we'll remove
Soloway.
the period. All right.
And Twitter is at Dr. Carol Soloway 1. That's correct?
They're all correct. That was my mistake on the other one.
There's one more.
All right. And the website is www.carolsoloway.com. No dot in the middle. All right. And then take off the top one.
Okay.
Okay. And there we go. Here's the giveaway. And let's get this out and put this
Well, the best way to reach me would be, at my email.
Yeah. This is how the book giveaway is going to go tonight. It's first 3 people to email drcarolsoloway@gmail.com will get a choice of a copy of Sex Happens, Gracie's Gone, or The Surprise Circus, and the choice of a format. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. That sounds good. You can either get it in paperback or you can get it on an ebook.
Right. Whichever
you prefer. Yeah. So, and I'm sure Carol would like to hear from you in any of these places, her website, her email, her Twitter, or her Facebook.
Okay, so we have these coming out. The next 6 books will be coming out, you mentioned. What do you got going after that? Anything in your cooking around in the factory up there?
We are, my now 7-year-old and I want to do a sequel to The Surprise Circus. And we're having some fun with that. I'm only doing children's books now because it's so fulfilling to do it with these little minds. And as long as they're willing to do it, I'm willing to do it with them. And I will go back to the novels in short duration, but right now I'm on this trajectory.
Okay.
Chris Chrisman the second says, thanks for the podcast live stream.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Welcome
Thanks for
to
joining
the show.
us.
Yes. If you have any questions or comments, we love all of your questions and your comments. I agree. I love talking with children and hearing what's going on inside their little heads. And it's really interesting what they think and how they perceive the world.
It also must be a lot less stressful or draining.
Oh, yeah.
Because those other 2 topics are really heavy.
Those are heavy.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you really have to dig deep for those.
Yeah.
and live those out. I mean, pretty much.
Well,
right?
the children's book is pure joy. The adult, then I don't want to say adult book. The novels are going through some ugly times to get to the messages, whereas the children's books are just pure fantasy fun. That's where I want to be right now.
Chris Chrisman says, always love talking with authors. Well, you came to the right place. We have a number in the audience too.
That's true.
Trish Pipkin said, I found children can be great teachers. Have you found that to be true, Carol?
Oh, I think the imagination is the way the Surprise Circus came to, the way I got back into writing children's books is because one of my granddaughters said, well, the other one is on this cover, so can I be on the cover? And I said, well, I have to write a book. So nothing like a little healthy competition. So that was her motivation. It just took off when we had so much fun. And then the 11-year-old said, well, can I write a book too? Because while my novels did great, they were not international bestsellers as the children's book was.
Oh,
Isn't
that's
that
cool.
interesting?
So, yeah. So my 11-year-old said, can I write a book with you? And you know what? It was during COVID. He had no sports, and he's quite a jock. So this was like the highlight of, of the day sometimes.
Isn't
And he would call it his business meeting, and we worked hard.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Caleb has a question. He's for you. He said, is Gracie's Gone based on a real event, and what triggered the idea for that book?
Good question. No, it is not based on a real event. It is based on, in other words, there was a lot of research. I spent hours with police officers who were involved in abductions to get everything, all the protocol, everything exactly perfect. But my son got involved in child rescue, an organization that does go in and rescue and rehabilitate children who've been abducted. And I decided that I would use the book as a charitable vehicle and donate. We wound up donating $1,000, like the first year, to child rescue from the proceeds.
Wow. That is so
So that
cool.
was really good.
That was wonderful. Sue Pearson says, I think this is so fantastic that you do that with your grandchildren and that they will love to learn and write along with you. And Chris Chrisman says, that's so cool getting to work with your son. Well, I know you did work with your son as a professional, and now you're writing with your grandchildren.
No, one of my grandchildren is almost finishing chiropractic school.
Also, wow.
Wow.
That's a great. Carol used to be a chiropractor before she was a medical examiner, folks, and has a son.
So every 10 years you decide to change professions, but now you're there.
Exactly right.
But now you're there. Now you're going to stick with novelist, right?
Chris Chrisman says, wow. And I mean, I agree. Wow.
So maybe you're going to go on to science fiction next.
No children.
I want to be the next Dr. Seuss.
There you go.
I just meant when the 10 years is over, you might need to change at least your genre.
And accept a diversified Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
A wee bit. That's great.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I think it takes a special kind of person who can write children's books to be able to engage them and, also teach them. Morality lessons often are taught in children's stories and things that can allay their fears and also help them to dream and to fantasize. Oh, so Trish Pipkin says,
way to go, Trish.
Sci-fi.
That's what I meant. I knew we'd get there somehow.
Well, we do in the upcoming series. They do fly through the air.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
That's when I was talking about helping their dreams. Sorry about the dog. She's like on steroids tonight. I don't know what her problem is. So
So hopefully there's not a lion or Bigfoot's been out there or something.
Right.
Well, it'd be kind of cool if Bigfoot was out there. Maybe I ought to go check.
No, I don't think so. So let's see. Oh, yeah. You know what? Linda Pirtle says, our 10-year-old grandson loves mysteries. Yeah. When I was a girl, I used to love reading Nancy Drew. And the Hardy Boys.
Mysteries.
Yeah. And when I was younger than that, the Bobbsey twins. Yeah, I'm old, folks. But yeah, that would be a cool thing to write for a child. There are so many actually sci-fi and mystery writers for children, and they then become movies.
Right.
Okay, what is the biggest challenge do you think?
It didn't go up.
Oop,
There we go.
wait a minute, sorry.
There.
What's the biggest challenge writing children's books?
Good question. Making them entertaining and enlightening. In other words, you can't preach, and also child speak. That is really hard to go back and write like a child, and not make it sound dumb, because children are brilliant.
Right.
Yeah, they're not dumb.
So writing that will make children want to turn the page, I think, is even harder than adults.
I agree.
Because their attention span is gone in a minute.
Chris says, understanding your audience. And Patricia said, what a brain. Just alone being a medical examiner, chiropractor, and author, I am so impressed, right, Patricia? She puts the rest of it. That was a different Patricia. That was Patricia Santasario. But yeah, I think it is important to write to them so that they get engaged and they understand, right? But not down to them.
Right. And that's what's, that was, okay, to answer your question, finding the right voice is even harder for children that I found, is even harder for children's books than adult books. Can I ask you guys a question? Because you're the experts too.
Oh,
why is it that I just thought about this. Why is it that all of these novels, and I read probably at least one novel a week, why is it that all the novels do head hopping? They go from character to character to character every chapter.
I don't
Instead
know.
of weaving them together in the story, you mean?
We have quite a few novelists here. Does anyone want to put in your 2 cents worth? There's Paul.
We had the challenge. Well, we had the challenge when writing of getting information out, of staying in one point of view, and now it's every single novel I've been reading is POV, point of view hopping.
Yeah, I think, I don't know why, because I like to be engaged and I like to be there, and I like authors that put me there. And as a matter of fact, all of the authors that are watching right now, you are with them, with their character in the story. And if what you're talking about takes you out of the story every time.
I didn't do it. And I was thinking about, and so when you asked me, do I want to write novels? My answer was no, because this is the trend, and it doesn't work in my mind.
Okay, so Paul Hollis says, my thoughts, it's this shiny new object these days. But he does not write like that. He writes the Hollow Man series. He does not write like that. George Dismukes, he says he doesn't do that, and that's for sure true. He does not. Plus, remember, Siren Song should be his new books and new TV series should be coming up soon. And Chris Chrisman says he can't read Changing POV. That drives
All
them
right,
crazy.
and your audience will love my books because they stay, unlike the current trend.
And Trish Pipkin says J.R.R. Martin did it with Game of Thrones, and I think that maybe people are copying that. That's true. That was a very engaging series, but yeah. Point of view is a difficult concept for many authors. We have had long conversations in our critique group, and you have a good group too, Linda. A lot of good authors in it. Yeah. I don't know why people are doing that. Carol, I think you should write a novel the way you want to, because I know people would love to read it. Oh yeah, definitely. Well, everyone we heard from here was like, yeah, I don't do that.
Okay,
great. Then you're my audience.
There you
yeah, go. And you have to find your audience, and and that's true. Yes.
Speaking of audiences, we're going to have to take a break.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's that time, unfortunately.
Wow.
So we'll catch up with the comments after the break,
fast.
But we do need to let our sponsors
say their piece.
Here. And so we will be back in just a few minutes. We'll try to keep it as short as we can today. Okay, see you in a bit. In a world where advancing technology is outpacing crime solving, the O'Rourke team continues their relentless pursuit of justice. BioPrince is the first book in the O'Rourke crime novel series where it's high-tech crime versus old-fashioned detective work. Visit carternovels.com or amazon.com and check out BioPrince today.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com.
At Indie Booksource, you can shop by genre or by author, and you will be buying direct from the author's main purchase link. We offer hundreds of titles in formats that include ebooks, paperback, hardbound, and audiobook. Support an indie author. Visit indiebooksource.com today.
Hi, now we'd like to welcome award-winning author.
Did you just have a brain freeze? It's Wanda. We've known her
forever.
Wanda.
Sorry about that.
Just bring her on.
Lost my place. Oh boy, it's bad getting old. Hi, Wanda. Sorry about that.
Hi.
Wanda
It's
LUTHMAN,
okay.
everybody. Christian fiction author and children's author.
Originally a children's author, and now you've moved on to Christian.
Oh,
and
boy.
Tricia has one last comment for
I'm sure she'll have something to say
Can
about
she
this,
be
too.
on the cover? No, Tricia.
Oh, boy.
All right. How are you tonight, Wanda?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me here. This is fun.
Thank you for being here. We're going to try and get up some of your places where people can reach you right off the bat here. And
I'll let you take her.
Facebook at W LUTHMAN. All right. Then that's correct, right?
Yep, that is.
Twitter at WandaLou64.
Yeah.
And then your website is wandaluthman.wordpress.com /. And let's get into your book giveaway right away.
Okay.
You want to?
Okay. The book giveaway, the first person to email will win a copy of The Cloak. Put podcast as a subject so that she can find it easily in her email stacks.
Yeah, so it won't get thrown into the trash like spam.
On the banner here.
Yeah. And here's where you write.
There we go.
WandaLou64 at gmail.com. We've got a number of comments here. Let's see. Oh, Blaze says, hi, Wanda.
Hi, Blaze.
And
Good to have you here.
Paul says, hi, Wanda.
Hi, Paul.
And Trish says, welcome, Wanda.
And I'm going to
Hi,
say,
Trish.
hi, Wanda, and I'm very sorry.
It's okay. I think we wanted to say about the book giveaway that it would be in the U.S.
Thank you.
Just for anybody
Right.
listening, international, we can't mail the book overseas, unfortunately. And even the ebooks, you have to be in that Amazon of that country to release it. And I don't exactly know how to do that. But so anyway, so in the U.S.
And Jan says, hi, Wanda.
Hi, Jan.
You know Jan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hail, the gang's all here. It's great. All right. So, Wanda, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we talk about your books and your latest venture, your newest venture?
Yeah, sure. So I am a high school guidance counselor. I've been doing that for 21 years. Before that, I worked at the local mental health center. I still hold my license in mental health counseling. I just don't practice. And I did that for 10 years counseling, but that was for adults. And I've also worked at a hospice running a teen group for teens who had lost a loved one. So sort of all in that counseling field.
And when did you start writing?
Well, sort of like Dr. Carol SOLOWAY, I wrote when I was little. I would say probably third grade, so I don't know how old that is, maybe 8-ish.
8.
I first wrote my very first little book, and you know how you do, you staple the edges together. I still have them. I have quite a few of them, but so this book, not this book, the first book that I actually published, I wrote when my daughter was 5. She's now 25. And it just came to me one morning. It wasn't a dream. I just woke up and I just had it, and boom, I had to write it, as quickly as I could to get it down. So I believe I published that in 2014, I believe. But I had written it, back in 2000, I think.
Linda Pirtle says, bless your heart, high school students need your expertise. They do. With your past and everything, I'm sure you're a real blessing to them.
Well, thank you. Yes, I hope to be. There's a lot of pain, going on. So, for sure.
It's difficult to be a teenager.
Yeah, it really is. And there's so many things, so many broken homes and situations that just break your heart. So, definitely happy to be there for the kids and support them and help them,
Okay. For the book giveaway, let's go ahead and put that cover up there for you.
Okay. Yep. So that's the cloak. That is my newest book. And that I have pivoted to a new genre, Christian fiction. And this is my first in that genre. And this book, did you want me to go ahead and talk about it?
Sure.
Okay. So this book actually came out of something that I do called Christian meditation. And my pastor is the one who taught me how to do Christian meditation. And he has like 5 different things you do when you're meditating. And so somewhere in there is what you call living into the scripture, and you actually experience as if you were there. And so this came when I was doing that. And I hadn't really even thought about making it a book. It was just sort of a really powerful meditation that I had. And I usually meditate in the morning before I go to work. So when I got to work, I typed it all down and just kind of forgot about it. And then a short story contest came up, and I really didn't want to try to hurriedly write something. And I was thinking, what do I have? And I remembered this meditation that I had written. So I pulled it up, and me and my editor went to work, and we made it into an actual story. And I submitted it to the contest. And while I didn't win, I was 9th out of 50. So I was very pleased with that. showing. And so that's how that sort of started. And then it was actually my mom, thank you, Mom, who said, you should publish that. You should make that into a book. And so I did. And I'm really enjoying having, it's a little pocket size book. It's not, a big size book. And I'm enjoying having that as part of my repertoire.
Linda Pirtle says, as a high school principal, I saw many sad situations and worked with our counselors to help the students. Yes, Linda is a retired English teacher who then became the high school principal. And
awesome. So you know what I'm talking about.
And Sue Pearson had said earlier, this last year especially, COVID has been so hard on families and kids. The ones that were at home doing e-learning, very isolated, a lot of depression, came out of that. And really, I think a new appreciation of school has happened in our children, where they really understand the point of being together and being in person and having a teacher who teaches. I think it's a whole new thing, Oh, Chris says this. I remember that, Chris. The Cross and the Switchblade came out when I was a teenager. I was at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Neat.
I actually enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've read it, but I have heard of it, and very powerful. I understand.
Yes. Didn't they make a movie too? Does anyone know?
I think they did, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. I always like the books better than the movies, though.
Me too. You get way more detail. Oh, hello. My cat is making an appearance. She's a new indoor cat. She's adopted me.
She's a sweetie. She's a little feral cat that likes you. She picked you.
Yep.
They say cats pick their owners. That's what they say.
Blaze says, what is the cloak book about?
Okay, well, thank you for that question. So the cloak book is about Jesus's cloak that was gambled for at the foot of the cross when he was being crucified. And so there was scripture about how the Roman soldier, here, come on, you got to move. Okay, there we go. The Roman soldier gambled. And so it's about what happened with the soldier who actually won the cloak, and sort of like when he took it home and what thoughts he had. And so it brought up some questions for him about who this person was who had this cloak. And so he sort of went on a little journey to find out more about him and how he learned more about Jesus.
So Chris Chrisman has said as a teenager living in New Jersey, the Cross and the Switchblade made a difference. And James remembered, thank you, James, the movie starred Pat Boone, of course.
Of course it did. And, they all did then.
So, and then he has a question about, wasn't he cursed for eternity?
So who was this?
The one who took the cloak.
The one that took the cloak?
I don't know that for sure. Because, nothing's really talked about, in the Bible. So, of course, in my story, he's not, because he comes to know who Jesus is and believes in him, as his savior. So, in my story, but it's fiction, but we don't really know what happened. I think, I don't know if he's also thinking about the two criminals that were hanging on either cross. There was the one who was like, we deserve this, and, realized who Jesus was and asked, for his forgiveness. And that's when Jesus said, I'll see you in paradise today. So he obviously was saved, but the other one, didn't believe. And so, he was cursed, unfortunately, for all eternity.
Reminds me that we were in a passion play many years ago when we were younger. And
I remember it.
I remember it well too. An old man remembers.
Yeah.
Was the name.
That was the name of the play.
And it was
Old Man Remembers.
PBS.
And I'm an old man remembering right now.
Yeah. And in one of the rehearsals, I'll never forget this, because seriously, I died laughing, and I was so afraid that when we did one of the plays, one of the performances, I was gonna laugh again. But one of the criminals on either side of him on the cross spoke over one of Jesus's line. And the actor who was playing Jesus said, he said, "You stepped on my line. You do that again, I'm gonna kill you." It's just like, I don't believe it.
That's funny. That's good. That's very good.
It was really funny, but yes, they were saved because of their compassion, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I do. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I do have 2 more books coming out in the same vein. The next one is called The Veil. And so when Jesus died, there was a big earthquake, and it caused, and probably it was more spiritual too, not just the earthquake, but that happened, this power happened when he died that ripped the veil, in the tabernacle, which was symbolic of now allowing us to have access to God directly, and not having that veil between us and God. And so it's about the veil being ripped and who was there and witnessed that and all of that. And then the next one after that is the stone. And it's about the big stone that was in front of Jesus's tomb, and sort of the people who hewn it, if I'm saying that right, and that sort of thing. So so it's all different aspects of things that happened around the crucifixion and the people involved, and how they start to question and find out about this person, Jesus.
Yeah, the veil is very significant that that ripped, and that no one could go past that except priests. It ripped open the covering between the common people and the Holy of Holies. They could then enter in. So
right, and like only one priest could go in, and they used to tie a thing around his foot.
Yes, to drag him out in case God struck him dead. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. and I think he had a bell or something on his robe too, to make sure they could hear him. And then if they didn't, then they, have to pull him out. So it was that serious that you could not go in the presence of God, without the right heart and contrition and things. And so with Jesus's death, it allowed us to be able to approach God without having that veil between us.
Without an intercessor.
Right. Yeah, Jesus is our intercessor.
Well, we don't need an intercessor anymore. We can go directly.
Right.
Says, Wanda, go ahead, Carol. Were you saying
biblical information, making it into novels? That's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
The Red Tent.
Yes, I started watching that. I didn't finish it, but yeah. And truly, it's something that I feel like God just does through me, because, I don't really set out to figure it all out. I just sort of start writing, and it feels like it just kind of flows and comes together. Now, afterwards, I will kind of research some scriptures and research some things after I have the basics down to make sure that I've gotten it correct. But
you can say it's inspired.
Yeah, inspired.
You can say it's inspired.
Inspired, yes, very good. Thank you.
We have a number of questions here. Wanda, if you could go time travel, would you go back to the time Jesus was alive?
I don't know. I mean, it would be amazing to meet Jesus live, but what a scary time,
That's what I'm saying.
The Romans and crucifixion and, that really, really scary time. So, maybe, yes, if you could go as today's person, just popping there and popping back out, not living there.
Maybe if you could go with a string and a bell.
Pull me back.
Ring the bell when you're ready to come back, right?
Get me out. Yeah. Right, yeah. But, it would be so amazing, to go back into Noah's time, or Moses, when he's holding up the staff and the water is parting. I mean, those would be amazing things to be present for.
Me, I want to see a dinosaur, but yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, that would be cool too. But I definitely need the rope. Pull me back when the Rex tries to.
Right.
Blaze said your book sounds awesome, or actually all three. And
Awesome. Thank
Sue
you.
Pearson said she read The Red Tent and it was an awesome.
I bet the book would be better. Yeah. Awesome.
Well, now, besides these, you've got some other ones that you've had out for a little while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell us
about those.
One or two of them.
Sure. I actually started out as a children's author, so it's like I've gone the other way. And so the very first book that I wrote that I was telling you about before was The Lilac Princess. And like I said, it just came to me in a flash, and I wrote it nonstop. We were headed out in the car, and I took a pad of paper and wrote it while we were driving. And my daughter was 5 at the time. And when we got there, she had fallen asleep. So I told my husband, just go ahead in the store and I'll finish writing. And so when I finished writing, my daughter woke up and I read it to her. And in the original story, the dragon died. Well, she started crying. And I'm like, oh, okay, I won't kill him. So what was really cool is when I went back and rewrote it, it turned out that really the dragon, while he was dying, was asking for forgiveness. And so the beautiful thing about that, I read my book again, like years later. I don't know if you've had this experience, and you're like, wow, I wrote that, and it was laughing. And it was like I was telling my personal story, but I had no idea I had done that. The dragons in my life who had hurt me and wounded me. And, you want to be angry and kill them. But really, it's in the forgiveness that not only are you free, I mean, this is what I discovered when I finally was able to forgive, but it freed that person. And I almost feel that there's some power spiritually when you forgive, that it releases something like in a spiritual realm, because the person I forgave, he got saved, and it was like he couldn't believe. And then, it was sort of like something happened and he was released, and then he got saved. It was like amazing. And it was all outside of me. Like he didn't even know I'd forgiven him. You know what I'm saying? It was just an experience. So it's kind of cool. So that was my very first book.
We've got one here you said that you wanted to talk about. Can we bring that one up? Turtle's Magical Adventure?
So that was my second book, A Turtle's Magical Adventure. And my daughter had a little turtle named Tad. And Tad is funny for a turtle because it's like a tadpole, but that's what she named him. And we used to watch him swimming around. And we got him a little shelf that he would crawl up on and then jump off, like dive off and swim. And we just loved watching him. And he had a beautiful little shell, the light, how it reflected. And so anyway, he was the inspiration for this book. And Tad doesn't like his shell because it makes him too slow. And so he's told by the wizard by the snake to go visit the wizard to have his shell taken off. And then he can be fast like the snake. And so he goes on this whole adventure and meets all kinds of people and blah, 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 animals and things. And, really that book is about self-acceptance. So that's what that story is about. And it is going to be National Turtle Day on May 23rd. So that is coming up very soon. Like 4 days. So anyway,
for National Turtle Day. While we're talking about it, and we have so many authors in the audience tonight, I just want to say, if you buy a book and you like the book, would you please leave a review for the author? Yeah. It really does help us, and plus, it helps other readers. If you mention what it is that grabbed you about that book, or that you related to, or that you really enjoyed, there's another person out there, lots of them, that are going to pick up on that and say, that's what I like, and that's what I want to read.
Indie publishing is very difficult to get the word out.
Even small publishing.
Even with Facebook and Twitter and everything, it's a constant drain. It's a constant job.
Yeah.
And if you let up even a little bit, things go very slowly for you. So,
For
and then
sure.
you had one
Me
other one
too.
you wanted to talk about there.
Little Birdie grows up.
Little
Right.
Birdie?
So I wanted to make a point about the Lilac Princess and the Turtle Book. Those were written for ages 7 to 11.
Okay.
I have read A Turtle's Magical Adventure to second graders, and they listened the whole time. So that was great. I just loved that. So Little Birdie Grows Up is actually my very first picture book, and it won second place in a reader's favorite contest, which I was thrilled about. And this was inspired with my daughter leaving home for college. She's my only child. I have some stepchildren, but I didn't raise them. They were older when I met them. And so I was very sad when she left for college. I know some people are happy, but I was very sad. And I was bemoaning this to a friend of mine. And she's like, you should write a book about a little birdie who grows up and leaves the nest. And it took me about a year before the inspiration came. And I was going to write it as a chapter book. And all of a sudden, I noticed some rhymes in there. And I'm like, I think I can make this more into a picture book. And I think Dr. Carol SOLOWAY talks about this, like when we used to write as children, all that rhyming stuff just came so easy and fun. And I love to write and rhyme. I absolutely love it. And in fact, like when I meet children at high school to remember their name, I make up little rhymes. So it's how my brain works. And so I went to work making this into a picture book. And really, when you talk about the most difficult part, it is that iambic pentameter of like making sure you have bump ba da bump ba da, like she talks about Dr. Seuss, bump ba da bump ba da bump, bump ba da bump ba bump, to get the right wording rhyme in the same timing and meter in the story. So that is a bit of a challenge, but super fun. So that's what that book is about.
And I think
Awesome.
we can all quote Dr. Seuss, so it's
yeah, sticks in your head, right?
It does stick in your head. We did have Sue Pearson had talked about forgiveness, said releases the soul ties.
I believe that. I mean, I saw it actually happen. I hadn't known that before. I knew forgiveness was important. We're supposed to forgive, and it's more for us than the other person. And I believe that because I definitely had, a release in my life. But then to see it in the other person's life, I was like, wow, there's something happens on a spiritual realm when you're obedient to God. It just does. And we don't understand it all. And we think he's just kind of being mean and has stupid rules sometimes, but that's not true. There's more going on than we even understand.
And Trish Pipkin says, forgiveness is absolutely freeing. I agree. Even if the person you forgive doesn't change, it can still help you.
Right. Yes. For you. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that you don't get all sick inside.
Right.
We're kind of nearing that bewitching hour. Wanda and Carol, do you guys have any thoughts or questions or comments that you'd like to make to each other?
Yeah. If you have the imagination of a child, nothing can stop you.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because in your book, they're going to fly. And I think most kids think they can fly. They believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ride dragons. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But you don't need any CGI. In your own imagination, right?
In the Lilac Princess, she rides the dragon. And so that's a piece of it. She bonds with him. And then he turns out to be evil. And so there's that whole piece. But anyway, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. So
Sue Pearson said, thank you both so much. And Trish Pipkin said, thank you for answering our questions and sharing your stories. It's been a pleasure getting to know you both. And yes, it has. We look forward to all of your books that are coming out soon. Any more comments or questions from anyone in the audience? Well, wait a minute. Linda says, it's been fun listening to you both. Thanks. Linda's also an author, in case you don't know. Blaze says, thank you all. Paul also says, thank you.
We have a very thankful audience out here today.
Dan says, great job. And it was a great job, ladies.
Yes.
It was a really good show.
Really awesome getting to know you and
Yeah.
hearing about all your work. And
Really so interesting. It's interesting to me how you dovetailed, the two of you. That's something that we didn't even think of when we booked the show. But yeah, that's like amazing. It was really good. And you did kind of switch.
Yeah. Well, this has been wonderful being here. Thank you, everyone, for coming and listening,
Yes.
tuning in, and all your comments and questions. It's just been a blast, and the time has flown. It's been great.
It has flown, and we have a great audience.
You're
I
more than
really
welcome.
appreciate them.
Any parting words, Carol?
I can't get over what you said about how, I went one way and she went and Wanda went the other way. And, Wanda, do you think that this is your sweet spot where you are now?
I kind of think it is sort of like you were talking
Sounds
about.
like
Oh,
it.
you found it. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a
Not
lot
that
of
I'm
fun.
not, I might do some more children's books. I certainly have ideas and things, but right now this is where I feel I should be. Yeah, absolutely.
Trish Pipkin says it's like someone planned it. Ha ha ha. It is like someone planned it. Who could that have been?
Okay, well, thank you very much, ladies. And
Thank you.
thank you. And did you want to say anything about upcoming shows at all?
Well, I just wanted to remind everybody that WLFE-DB.com is now streaming on TV on Variety Unlimited, which you can find our show on, and LGBTQ Friends is on there, and also Paranormal View. And after our show at 8:30 is another show called Inside the Drag Closet. And earlier, Dom said hello, and he has a show on Monday nights call at 10 o'clock, and it's Real Talk with Dom. And another one of our hosts I noticed dropped in, and that was Genevieve, and she's on Tuesday nights at the Creepy Parlor at 7. After her is Where's My Sage with Mike and Christy at 8, and that's really good.
So
And there's just an awful lot of shows.
Lots of different shows, and
I love
they
them
appeal
all.
to a lot of different people.
Yes.
So I'm sure you can find something.
You can find anything.
Anything, pretty much anything.
Everything but nothing. That's another show. Until next time.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.